So about a week ago now, I watched the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and it wasn't... God, it's kind of complicated. So right off the bat, do I think this is a good film? I guess it is competent. It is somewhat logical. It is somewhat entertaining. I didn't think it was a wholly bad experience just as a film. What I want to really talk about today, though, is how it works as an adaptation of the Mario Galaxy games and how it handles its characters and its story, because I don't think it handles any of those things that well at all. The Mario Galaxy games really do mean a lot to me. They mean a lot to me just as much as I think a game can mean to somebody. They were two of the first Nintendo games I ever played, and they really left a mark on me, because before this, my gaming experience was the likes of Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots and Ben 10 Protector of Earth on the PlayStation 2. So, you know, going from those to games like this, especially the first game with its presentation and story and emotion, was really, honestly game-changing for me. It was a shock to the system in the best way possible. Now, I actually still haven't seen the first Mario movie all the way through. I saw about half of it because someone put it just on Twitter once, and I was browsing back in 2023 and was like, oh hey, someone put the Mario movie on here, let me watch it. And about halfway through I realized I was watching a film on Twitter and thought, yeah, I should probably just stop doing this and be productive. And then since then I have, watched a ton of reviews and analysis videos, and I've read plot summaries and I've seen YouTube poops. I think I have a pretty good grasp of this film, and I don't think that the Galaxy movie works that great as a sequel. For all that though, I will list off a few kind of general positives I have towards the film. Visually, it's stunning. This is probably the best looking Illumination film ever. It's full of colour and detail, and it just looks really, really pleasant. I think that if you turned the sound off and just watched this film and tried not to think about the plot and what exactly was happening, and if you just based it off the visuals, it'd probably be a 9 out of 10. The voice work is pretty mixed, but overall I think it's decent for the most part. Chris Pratt is kind of just phoning it in. He doesn't really sound like he wants to be there, and he just doesn't really do that good of a job, although there are a few moments where he kind of shines through and it sounds like he's actually trying. This is kind of the same story with Anya Taylor-Joy, although I felt like she was trying a bit more than Chris Pratt most of the time. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad is still a pretty annoying and not very interesting performance to me. Jack Black and Charlie Day are still the MVPs, very, very good fits for their characters, and they play off each other really well. In fact, I'd say even Jack Black and Chris Pratt play off well with each other, or maybe Jack Black just plays off well with everyone, to be honest. That wouldn't surprise me. Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. is a very interesting choice, but I think it kind of works. I think him and Jack Black, again, play well off each other, and actually they have a good dynamic. I think Benny Safdie captures being a younger sort of version of Bowser pretty well. And Brie Larson as Rosalina, I mean, the character is completely and utterly wasted, and we'll talk a lot about that in a minute, but from just a performance standpoint, I think she's a great fit for the character, and she did a good job with all of her, 20 lines of dialogue. The music is also still amazing, and also they used less licensed music this time around. They only used, I think, one pop song in the entire movie, I think, and it actually fit fairly well within the scene. I think it worked. And the original score by Brian Tyler, he is literally carrying these films on his back, which is probably why he ended up in the hospital, where he composed most of the music, which, by the way, is, that's insane. Oh my god. But yeah, he did a great job, but my one criticism with the music is sometimes they did leave things kind of unresolved. During the final battle, they play the Gusty Garden melody, 3 times, and every time they play, the first, 4 bars of it, and then just, cut it short and play some kind of generic orchestral flourish, and it's it's like blue balling. It's like, dog, I want to hear the full Gusty Garden melody. It's one of the greatest pieces of music this company has ever produced. I just want to hear it, please. Okay, so now that I've talked about everything that was, kind of okay about the film, God, I don't even know where to begin. I don't have a script for this because I didn't want to kind of dedicate that much time into it, and I also didn't really know how, so I've kind of just tried to format, I've got a bullet point list of things I wanted to talk about in relation to the film, and the story was It was a mixed bag, to say the least. Now, obviously, I understand the challenges of making a film themed around Mario Galaxy, because Galaxy, you can't just make a kind of straight adaptation, because it also needs to serve as a sequel to the first film. So I understand that there are certain limitations that come with that. You have to carry on plot threads and character arcs from the first film, or at least you would, but I guess they didn't get the memo because not a single character goes on any sort of journey throughout this film. There are two characters who I'd say have sort of arcs. One character has like half of an arc, and then the other character has like 10% of an emotional arc. The character with half a character arc or like a development is Bowser, who starts the film off like, still evil, but as he says, he's working on his demons, and he kind of, over the film, learns to be a good guy. And it isn't a ruse. It isn't like a ploy to just get his powers back and be bad again. He genuinely does change, and he's a reformed Koopa. He is a good guy, and he has a genuinely really great rapport with the Mario Bros. And Yoshi. I think these characters, especially him and Mario, they play really well off each other, and they have a really good, like, kind of begrudging respect for each other. I actually really liked the scenes where they were together. As soon as Bowser goes back to Bowser Jr. and reunites with him, he just goes straight back to being evil. There's like a moment of hesitation where he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to kill those guys because they're like my friends and stuff now. And Bowser Jr. is like, yeah, well, they suck, and we have an awesome evil plan. And Bowser's like, yeah, okay, I'm evil again. What happened to all that character development? What happened to this arc he was going on? Maybe if they reined it back in, and by the end, you kind of had a little bit of that hesitation creeping back in, and ultimately he resolved to kind of try and stop his son from fulfilling, from going forward with this evil plan of theirs. That would have been really interesting. That would have been an interesting way to take the character and the dynamics. But no, they just sort of gave up and thought, well, Bowser has to be the villain, right? Does he? I don't think he does, and I think it's a real shame that the film just kind of abandons this character development halfway through to return to the status quo, and by the end of the film, he's still evil, and in exactly the same spot that he was at the end of the last film. He doesn't undergo any sort of growth from beginning to end. And the character with like 10% of an arc that I said is Mario, and the arc is just being in love with Peach. And there's some like funny, funny in quotes, they're kind of like nose exhale jokes. They're not really anything laugh out loud, but there's a few kind of cute moments of Luigi teasing him, trying to be his wingman, giving him advice. But Mario and Peach have like barely any scenes together. They spend most of the time split apart from each other. Peach and Toad go off on their own adventure, and Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi are kind of on theirs. These two characters only have like 2 heart-to-hearts in the entire film. One's at the very beginning, which is cut really abruptly short by like the plot happening. It's like JXC once famously said, character time is over, time for plot. And then when they're on like the dinosaur planet, there's actually a pretty sweet moment where like Peach is really frustrated. She's like stomping on a bunch of flowers, and Mario comes over. He's like, are you good? Do you want to talk about it? She's like, no, I'm frustrated. And he's like, well, why don't we be frustrated together? And they just both stop stomping on flowers together. That's a really nice, understated way of showing the bond between these two characters. But that's it. I'm pretty sure that's the last time that they actually like have a one-on-one conversation with each other in the whole film that isn't just like talking during action sequences. And the kind of payoff to this romance subplot is Peach gives him a peck on the cheek at the end of the film. And that's it. That is the execution to all this build-up of them liking each other and having a thing for each other. He doesn't ask her out on a date. He doesn't tell her about his feelings. They don't even have a proper little smooch. It's just a little peck on the cheek and cut to credits. Great. The only other character I want to spend a lot of time on is Rosalina, because everyone else is kind of just there. Wart is here for some reason. Birdo's here as well. Fox is... I guess it's cool that he's here. Glenn Powell does a pretty charming performance. I like him, and I really love that like 2D animated section where it explains where he comes from. I really hope they don't do like a Smash Bros movie, because I think that would just be comically stupid. But I do like the kind of implication that like every Nintendo universe has its own art style. Like maybe the Zelda universe is live action. And honestly, if they do a Smash Bros movie, I would really genuinely love it if they had Link in there just as live action. Sort of like how Donald Glover is like the Prowler in Across the Spider-Verse. Speaking of Donald Glover, Yoshi's here as well, and he is kind of the comic relief character. He doesn't really do anything. He's just sort of there. He's cute. and the section with the babies and the dinosaur world is really annoying and not funny, and I genuinely have no idea why that sequence is there, beyond, like, to make babies laugh, because it's in the third act, and it's like, we really should be getting on with, like, character development and getting to the climax, and then the film just takes a bunch of time away to do something that just really is not funny in the slightest. I know this is a baby film for babies, but that still is just an absolutely bizarre decision to me to just have that in the middle of the third act for no reason. But now, let's talk about Rosalina. Rosalina doesn't really do that much in Mario Galaxy, but even then, by the end of the game, you have a fully formed idea of who she is as a character. And I think Galaxy is that's one of the best parts of the game, is the backstory and the attention it gives to Rosalina. This brand new character that they invented for that game. By the end of it, even though she doesn't have that much dialogue and she doesn't really do too much, you have a clear understanding of who she is, what her deal is, and that she's fucking awesome. I mean, there's a reason that she became such a fan favorite character immediately, because she's really, really cool. And in this film, she has a couple of cool action sequences. She gets kidnapped, and then she doesn't really do anything until the end, where I think she has maybe like 2 lines with Peach, who is her long-lost sister. Okay, let me try and think of a way to just talk about this concisely. So, my brain hurts. The fact that they made a Super Mario Galaxy movie, and Rosalina has, I think someone counted, it's like 10, like just under 11 minutes of screen time, is ridiculous. That is the worst thing that either of these films has done. It's honestly, I can't even fathom how bad of a decision that is. Why would you do that? What were they thinking? Like I said, in the game, Rosalina doesn't really do that much, but you still have a clear understanding of who she is by the end. And that's helped in part by the incredible backstory that is like optional to read. You know, you go in the library, you read the storybook. The fact that they like managed to squeeze this into the game as an optional bonus thing just to give this character some more depth was amazing. And that storybook, God, it still really hits. Genuinely, like, I replay Galaxy every year and I can't bring myself to read that storybook. I don't remember the last time I did read the storybook because it makes me sob every time. It is so powerful and emotional, and it's just amazing. I have a feeling that only like toddlers would find movie Rosalina's backstory emotional in any way. It is so rushed, it feels like a complete and utter afterthought. It's like Peach goes in the library, she finds a book of herself, and she's like, oh my god, I remember, we lived on a planet, and then there were evil people, and then I'm gone, goodbye. Okay, who are they? Where did they come from? Were they just like birthed into existence by the universe itself? What is this planet? Why did Rosalina find the Comet Observatory? How did she find the Comet Observatory? How did she find the Lumas? Why did she send Peach away? Like, who was coming after them? Was it Bowser? Was it someone else? Was it like fucking, I don't know, a fucking Satan himself? And I guarantee there's going to be some people who are going to be like, actually, they were going to make Peach and Rosalina sisters in the development of Galaxy, so this is actually fine and it makes sense. No. The reason why they didn't end up making Peach and Rosalina sisters during the development of Galaxy is probably because they realized that's a stupid idea. It was stupid then, and it's stupid now. Not only is it just like completely pulled out of their ass and just doesn't really add anything to their dynamic or their relationship, they have one scene together at the very end, Peach and Rosalina, that's it. It means nothing. This film doesn't have any themes of family or like abandonment or anything like that. It just comes out of nowhere, feels completely rushed. But aside from that, it also makes the world feel smaller. It's like a coincidence. It's like, oh, the super powerful person that Bowser needs to harness the power of for his evil plan to work, just happens to be the long-lost sister of the person he is in love with and tried to kidnap a few years ago. It just makes the world feel that much more smaller and like it's based on happenstance and coincidence. It's really frustrating to think about. The storybook in the original game showed me as a kid that storytelling in video games on a level like that was possible, and it always gets me emotional. And they didn't even bother trying to adapt it. Even if they did a bad adaptation, even if they somehow messed it up like they probably would have, I would have preferred that to no adaptation at all. They didn't even bother trying. They didn't do the, you know, she's sleeping under the hill on the tree or anything like that. They just They just didn't bother. I just can't wrap my head around it. They just didn't bother. They'd rather give us Mario 2 Casino and Fox McCloud than actually a genuinely emotional, impactful, mature story that people of all ages can enjoy. I honestly, I wrote down a few ideas for like a rewrite of the film, like what I would do differently, but I think I'm going to put a lot more effort into that and kind of maybe do like a full video of that at some point, or maybe I'll just like release it somewhere else, but I don't think I'm going to go into that now because I think this video is already long enough. I'm just rambling at this point. I'm just kind of venting because this really annoys me. And another thing that I was kind of thinking of just before I started filming this was that the movie doesn't really take advantage of the fact that it's set in space. That's another criticism that I have, is that the story just feels really rushed. Like, they go to the Honey Hive galaxy, which looks like identical to the Mushroom Kingdom at first. It just looks like a generic grassland, so you don't even realize they're on a different planet until they reach like the Honey Hive castle, which is there for about 2 minutes, and then they just bugger off. They go to the Gateway Galaxy, which is Gateway Galaxy in name only. It looks nothing like it did in the game, although I kind of like the idea of this like intergalactic like airport hub. That's a cool idea, and it's got all these references. Like, the fan service, yeah, it's pretty cheap, lazy fan service. It's Point and, you know, Soy Jack at the screen. But I kind of liked it, I gotta admit. This film, you can tell that there were genuine fans of the franchise working on this film that actually cared to put in details like that, and no, I do like that. And then they go to, I guess, the Space Junk Galaxy as well, except again, it's kind of like Space Junk in name only. There's no recognizable planets or iconography or set pieces from the original game. And even though this movie already has breakneck pacing, I think if they just trimmed the fat of some of the other set pieces and replaced them with set pieces from Galaxy, get rid of the casino. What's the casino doing there? It's just slop. It's slop set piece. It's a slop piece, if you will. Get rid of the casino. Bring in Gusty Garden. You know, have Mario and Luigi hopping from planetoid to planetoid with the like flowers that they cling onto, and they let the wind carry them across planetoids. This film doesn't do anything with the concept of it being set in space. There's no tiny little planetoids that they can run across and do like gravity shenanigans on. There's none of that interesting playing with gravity and physics that the game had, and what set the game apart from anything else at the time. Oh god. Okay, I really should have added this up because I don't really have any sort of point to this. I was going to go into a bit of a kind of a rewrite territory of like what I would have done with the Galaxy adaptation. I think I'll save that for another time maybe. In short, I kind of just wanted to say how disappointed I was as such a huge fan of the Galaxy games that they fumbled this so badly. I mean, I wasn't expecting high art. I wasn't expecting something on the level of a Scorsese, but like, I was expecting it to at least be good. Like, is it a good film? Sure, it's not anything amazing, but I guess it works, it's competent. Is it a good adaptation of Galaxy? No, absolutely not. Not in a million years. It completely butchers the original game's story and would rather take elements from like every other game ever. Like, there's so many things from Odyssey, from Mario 2 USA, from like, I don't know, like Daisy in the post-credits. So what the hell's the next one going to be? Super Mario Land movie? And they're going to have elements from like Hotel Mario and Mario's early years fun with numbers in there instead of Mario Land stuff? Because that's the pattern that's emerging. They adapt a game in name only and include like 2/3 of the film is from like other sources that don't correlate with each other, and they just mash it all together in a blender. And it just comes out as this kind of slightly gross puree that is not that fun to consume. Honestly, part of me does feel bad that I actually wasted money on this, but I guess I'm part of the problem. I guess I'm contributing to this film probably gonna make like over $1 billion again, which is well, I'll see you in 2029 for the Super Mario Land movie. Can't wait to see Wario voiced by Danny DeVito and Waluigi voiced by Simon Pegg. Sure, we'll go with that, whatever. Goodbye.